our 2014 transfers that we went ahead and did as per our regular procedure. He said he had already filed the audit with the state, and though they're not allowed to, we need to back those out, and we needed to come up with the funds for that would have gone into the airport capital improvement fund.
And that amount
The
is,
amount of $90,000 is what would have transferred.
I'll make a motion that we transfer $90,000 into the airport capital improvement fund. The funds to come from the oil and gas depletion account.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That was specified for 14.
For 2014.
And then I was just wondering on the,
Was there a second and a vote?
Yes, and seconded.
on the 20s, okay, last year, 2015, we went ahead and did the 2015 equipment reserve and capital improvement transfers in January, like we used to always do before we hit our hard times. Do we want to do that again in 16, or do we want to wait and do it at the end of the year? It's 2016.
I think at the end of the year.
I think we ought to do it at the end of the year, and then we'll do a transfer at that time.
And those will be resolutions to be transferred.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Second item.
Thank you.
Physical file. I just wanted to give you our information on what our health insurance for 2015 has been for the county. This is new reports that I gave for the complete year. It's done and it's in here, so if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to help you figure out my files.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you doing this. It's really been helpful, and Nicole was very helpful as well on that.
Well, and I met with Dolores, and Dolores, I went through the numbers. I want to make sure you agree with me on this. So we paid about $430,000 in premiums. Does that sound about right?
332,000.
519.50.
Yeah.
51 cents. Yeah.
Just a good additional job. Yeah.
Okay. And then we paid an additional about $90,000 to Freedom Claims for actual claims paid out.
Right. And we have a balance of that remaining of 23,653.53.
So we have a little over $23,000 in our health trust fund.
Right.
And then on top of that, included in the ledger is the $4,000 in premium payments for our vision care insurance.
Correct.
Okay, and that's why we're seeing that higher number above and beyond the premiums. I just wanted, we had met, and I know the chairman had some questions about that, so I wanted to make sure that we had a chance in the commissioners meeting to actually go through those numbers. Does that all sound accurate?
Right.
Okay.
And really appreciate the county attorney doing that above and beyond what I asked. I appreciate that.
Okay, the only
You're welcome.
unresolved
The only thing I'm not
issue here
sure.
is, when are we going to pay them for the service of
Cleaning up.
settling these old?
We need to find out how much we actually paid in cleanup, and then we need to find out what the in order to do that, because I think in the beginning we said that we were gonna do a 9% of what she saved us, maybe it was 7, but I thought it was 9. So if the bill was 10,000 and she got up to 5,000, we'd pay 9% of 5,000 because she saved us that much money.
That was in our minutes, wasn't
I
it?
believe, but
I
I
don't
may not be
remember
right on the
percentage.
percentage, but I thought it was 9%, maybe 7.
Has she ever, I didn't know if that was included in what they have been billing us, or if
No.
that was.
That's gonna be
She'll bill
something
us
separate.
separately on
Right.
that.
When
Well,
she was
where
gonna-
does the money come from? Would it come back out of health insurance?
I think it would come out of the health trust fund, wouldn't it?
That's where I would think it should come out of, but
Yeah.
I want to make sure we don't make an error in
Right.
designating where that comes
Well,
from.
and we need to have the totals in order to
If
make
it's
sure we
more
don't
than
make errors.
that, then we need to know where to pay it from,
Okay.
to transfer money into the trust.
And
fund.
last I knew, she was down to one account that had settled.
Maybe it's
Oh, I
one.
thought they were, maybe not.
There, last I knew there was one, but that may be completed by now.
Was that an elective?
I don't know the details
Oh,
on it. So,
because I was going to say, if it's
If
elective, we shouldn't have to pay it.
On this very far right column on our this freedom claims sheet, the very bottom total of this is the amount that we've ended up paying since Freedom's United took over.
This far column, right? Okay.
Which I think I don't know any totals specifically, but from just thinking of the dollar amount that was out there, that is very, very small.
Yeah. Compared to what we were paying for insurance, that this is a third the cost from what we were,
But I'm saying what,
pretty much.
these were from old, from 2014 from corporate plan.
Oh,
This column right here.
184,
So
okay.
you're saying this 184
So-
is the settled
That's what we
under the
settled.
corporate plan?
Right.
And, yeah, we'll probably need to look back at the minutes, but I thought the
But
agreement.
I was thinking the dollar amount that was out there that she had to settle was a whole lot more than that.
Yeah, I
Well,
think
it
it's
was,
double.
but she got those people to
Right.
settle for maybe 50 cents on the dollar.
So I don't know if we could get her to give us a report.
Was yours?
We're gonna have to, in
Because we
order to
don't know
pay her.
what she actually
You're
settled
saying-
and what was
Yeah.
actually legally not payable. I mean,
Well, maybe you can contact her and
because we
find out
really should get that paid for her.
the
'cause
total
that
amount that was asked for and what she settled for, so we have the difference, so we know what we do over.
way
I'll
above
ask her
and
if
beyond.
everything is cleaned up,
Okay.
if she's ready to submit that to the county.
That'll be good, thank you. Did you guys have any other questions as far as that goes?
No. I think she did a bang-up job. Oh, cleaning that up.
Anything else?
No.
That's all I have.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Dave, did you have something else for us?
I do, but I don't have all the information.
Okay. Good morning. How are you?
Good, you guys?
Yeah, pretty good.
So, let's start off with the Rollins contract payoff for shared expenses. I continued to crunch numbers after our last meeting when you gave the approval for us to proceed with sending the bill. And there's been a lot of confusion back and forth. And the biggest thing is, we thought, according to Intuit, who makes QuickBooks, when I called them and they said that Rollins County renewed their QuickBooks subscription for 2016, well, we didn't want that because Rollins County was not going to be using QuickBooks. And they said, nope, the fee had cleared the bank. And I said, okay, well then we owe that county that money because it's really going to become ours. And then I checked with Rollins County and they said, no, the charge hasn't gone through. They called the credit card company. It's trying to go through, but it's above their daily maximum of $2,000. So anyway, I think we have that straightened out. The charge never occurred on Rollins County. So,
I'm sorry, Reed, it's not on here, is it?
yeah. Oh wait, that's an old one. That's the medical supplies, no.
I don't think we have what you're going off of, and we can't follow
I will make copies if
Okay.
you'd like.
it. Would just look.
Basically what we have is the shared expenses over the past year listed out here. Some of those shared expenses we've paid for at Cheyenne County and 100%. And some of those shared expenses Rawlins County paid for 100%, just depending on what it was. So we tallied all that up. We threw out the QuickBooks because we finally got that issue resolved. And so what we would owe them minus what they owe us for shared expenses totaled $4,041.78. So that's what I submitted to Nicole, and we visited about this, and she's going to talk with the county attorney, Chris, over there and make sure that they agree to that number.
And that would actually save us almost $2,900 by not purchasing a new QuickBooks, correct?
We're not going to save anything because QuickBooks Enterprise is on a subscription basis, so it's annual.
Okay.
So there's no direct savings. This is what we would pay on our own because that's my second motion. My first one is to make a motion for a new amount that we owe Rawlins County. And my second motion is then we need to purchase QuickBooks subscription for this year for this amount, of which half of that is going to be budgeted because when we did budgets, we assumed the contract with Rawlins County would still be in existence. So that's actually double what we budgeted. And that would come out of contractual.
So basically, the total between the two is $6,795.88. Is that correct?
Sure, I'll take your word for addition there.
Well, I'm not checking.
It's 6,795,888.
6 7.
Okay. There we go. So yes, I agree with you. But that needs to be divided by the two.
Right.
And that should clear this whole mess up.
And keep in mind, what I'm gonna do is contact Rawlins County Attorney and ask, do you guys wanna invoice us, and do we invoice you, or do we just wanna credit it all out, so there's one single invoice?
So depending on their answer is going to depend on the amount of money then, isn't it?
Exactly.
So the
Yeah.
motion,
Yes, so we're premature to make a motion at this time,
Rodney, can I see that piece?
until we have the
I
information.
I think the expenditure is the same, it's just a matter of how
How.
it's coming in and out.
Yeah, very
But
true.
the expenditure is exactly the same, it's just a matter of whether or not they're gonna let us essentially invoice against them a
Right.
credit or sympathy.
so I think regardless, we still need a motion on the QuickBooks. Because no matter how we invoice back and forth, we know that QuickBooks was not paid by Rawlins County.
Okay.
And they told me, because I asked them, I said, don't shut us off because that's our billing software since this actually ended December 31st. And they said they'll give us a grace period of 30 days.
So we need a motion to pay QuickBook Enterprises $2,754.10 for out of contractual to pay our subscription.
And this is for Quicken
QuickBooks, yeah.
QuickBooks.
It's billing software.
Seems kind of funny to me that we're using a non-standard system instead of the computer integrated concepts system for billing. Is this for medical accounts or?
Correct, yeah. Well, actually, it's for medical accounts, yes, and we also use it for all of our accounts payable also. That's how we track in detail where our money goes. So if we can pull a report that says how much money did we spend on a certain ambulance over a year, over 2 years, 3 years.
Doing good.
But it's primarily for medical, we just use it for other things also.
And we can't do the same thing with the current system we have, the CIC?
They don't have CIC
Okay.
at the
All right.
EMS building, the software.
Okay. I make a motion that we authorize the expenditure of $2,754.10 to purchase a subscription for 2016 of
QuickBooks Center.
QuickBooks.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay. And the other, we're going to get more information on.
The second thing I have for you is Cheyenne County EMS was featured in the official publication of Kansas Emergency Medical Services Association for your review. Pleasure. That's highlighting our new community care medicine program. And then the final topic I have is EMS director's pay, which is really this table for this meeting. I wrote something that I'm going to read to you guys to keep me on task. I come before the Board of Commission this morning to offer these words as a reflection of my second-year term as EMS director for Cheyenne County. Public speaking is certainly not a career path in my future, and thus my apologies for needing to read a script to you. This is me. This was written by me in appreciation for some of the most loyal and passionate people I've ever supervised in my 21-year history. And I find myself humbled to be amongst their presence. Common, ordinary, hardworking, hard-playing, devoted to help their neighbor in some of the worst moments of their life, selfless, you may say. That's my staff. As an EMS department, they have not only met every milestone and goal within the past year, they have exceeded them all. Far from average, loyalty-driven, I couldn't be more pleased with not only their accomplishments and performance, but their relentless attitudes to help their county. It's not the money and it's not the cush hours or the benefits package or the ability to climb the corporate ladder that inspires these people to get out of bed in the middle of the night, answer the call, transfer one of their own to places like Kearney, Denver, Hayes, Salina, Wichita, Garden City, wherever it's best for them to be, only to see the sun rising on their return trip and their real job waiting as soon as they arrive home. And they'll do it today just like they'll do it tomorrow, not only for their neighbor, not only for themselves, but they do it for a community at large, knowing that they did as much as they could to help their county. And here I find myself justifying and defending the very pay I received for being their leader. I question what has changed since you shook my hand 21 months ago and offered me a $60,000 per year salary to be your EMS director. I knew I had a lot to prove, knowing that you've doubled the director's position salary to bring me on board. When I shared with the board the 124% return on investment with my position at the end of 2014, I figured I had proven myself and my salary, but obviously not. Furthermore, this whole discussion of my IT responsibilities at the time of hire and reduction of pay, if this is the real reason, comes down to a lack of support in meeting minutes and paperwork. This situation is unfortunate, and hopefully our committee will prove that those who are responsible for search become accountable and better educated. I simply did what I thought was best for the county, and the numbers now support our decision. So just like in 2014, I reviewed the statistics for 2015 in order to compute another return on investment in my salary. You'll find the detailed analysis in your packet when I present my year-end report after our annual Board of EMS inspections. A lot of numbers go into a return on investment on a salaried position, but the summary is very simple, and I would like to use this scenario. Say, for instance, I had left my position at the end of 2015. Here's what 2016 would have looked like. your expenses would immediately drop. My salary of $61,020 plus benefits. However, your projected revenue would also drop $57,469. I'm sure you're wondering why the drop in revenue, so let me explain. I only take call and I only go on transfers when other staff members can't. My position is what we call last call. I simply do this so that others can get more experience. I cover the sick leave, the family crises, the weather conditions, whatever it may be that keeps staff from volunteering. This is a very important thing to understand. In 2015, I took it upon myself to cover 2,925 hours of weekday call, 575 hours of weekend call, and 121 hours of vacation call, for a total of 3,621 hours of on-call. There is no wonder why I don't need to take vacation, sick, or personal leave. I also went on 26 transfers, advanced life support, and 74 EMS calls. On-call for EMS is defined specifically by the Kansas State Board of EMS, unlike other emergency professions. We are required to average a 5-minute response to all emergency calls. This makes it difficult when writing policies for on-call pay. How restrictive the on-call time is determines how the employee or volunteer gets paid. But we'll save that discussion for another day. Getting back to the scenario, a $61,020 decrease in expenses and a $57,469 decrease in revenue creates a net operating expense of $3,551. That's correct. My net expense to the county in 2015 was $3,551. But wait, the service director position is required by state statute and must be filled promptly if vacated. In fact, I believe it's within 24 hours. So let's say you hire a new EMS director at the average rate of $207.33 per your calculation. To outsource your billing operations will be between $10,000 to $15,000 a year, in which I provide under my salary. You also have to fill 3,621 hours of additional on-call hours, as previously discussed, and 25 long-distance advanced life support transfers. Furthermore, this new EMS director will need to supervise a community paramedicine program coordinator subordinate with a salary of $60,000. After watching the salary adjustment special meeting, it is obvious that the county is trying to get closer to average salaries. I went through this same effort twice with other companies, and generally I believe this is a good thing. However, those other companies looked at job responsibilities and not just job titles in determining comparisons. I find no evidence of that in Cheyenne County's effort. In fact, my research shows the mere statistical analysis to be skewed. For instance, in the average computation you used, or I believe the clerk used, for my position, there is a part-time EMS director. Bob, he's a full-time preacher and a part-time EMS director. EMS responsibilities are divided amongst his staff. They do not provide any advanced life support for their county and very few transfers. Most transfers Bob outsources along with all of their billing operations. The ambulance department budget for Bob is almost $500,000, as Bob uses much more outsourcing than Cheyenne County does. Let's talk about Linda next. Linda is one of two other EMS service directors the clerk used in calculating an average EMS director's salary. At least this time Linda is full-time salaried employee. Like Bob, Linda outsources a lot of the departmental responsibilities. Linda outsources all billing operations and also 90% of the transfers. Linda's salaried position is determined by 8 to 6 Monday through Friday. Outside of those hours, if Linda needs to take call or go on ambulance calls, she is rewarded with per occurrence additional rates. Linda also does not provide, nor her service provide, any advanced life support for her county. As you can see, there is much more that goes into calculating an EMS director's average salary than X plus X plus X divided by 3. If average is what this county wants for emergency medical services, then they have the wrong person at the lead. I expect a higher standard than that from my staff, as I hope you would of me. Average, status quo, mediocre are not my leadership policies. I challenge anyone who might be listening to ask themselves if average, status quo, and mediocre are what they want showing up to help their loved ones at their time of need. The tides have changed for Cheyenne County EMS. We are turning into a very progressive EMS department, taking on huge advancements that rival what is being done in some of the most elite urban EMS departments across the state. In fact, we are the only EMS department I know of which serves a population less than 500,000, yes, 500,000 people, to start a community paramedicine program. Why are we changing the tide and modeling pilot projects? It's simple. It's for our community. It's for our county. For when average, status quo, and mediocrity become policy is when I need to leave and this community needs to demand better. There is a reason that our department has seen ground transfers soar from 16 in 2013 to 108 in 2015. And I'll guarantee you it wasn't because of a policy built on average. So I'm going to ask you gentlemen 3 yes or no questions individually, since the board collectively is my supervisor to help gauge our future. Mr. Radcliffe, have performance expectations been met within the EMS department in your opinion?
You did not perform any IT duties, is that correct?
Correct.
I think that was the issue.
Okay, the performance expectations of the EMS department, have they been met?
I don't know if they were ever outlined, if there was a job description.
Okay.
Is there a job description on EMS director?
Reed had came up with a job description that he presented to the board,
But that was never adopted.
but it was never adopted.
I see.
But there isn't one for IT either.
Yeah.
Second question, are you pleased with the leadership within the EMS department? That would be myself.
It's hard to evaluate. We're a small community. I just don't know.
Okay, and third of all, do you believe that you are getting a favorable return on investment with my salary?
With the exception of the $400 a month IT, yes.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Garner, same questions. Have performance expectations within the EMS department been met in your opinion? Are you pleased with the leadership within the department? And that would be myself.
Yeah, you're the only one there, so yeah.
And do you believe you are getting a favorable return on investment with my salary?
I have no idea because I haven't seen anything else across the board for the rest of the day. But as far as I'm concerned, I think it's good.
Okay, thank you. Brett, same questions. Have performance expectations been met within my department?
Surpassed.
Are you pleased with the leadership within my department? That would be myself.
Absolutely.
And do you believe that you are getting a favorable return on investment with my salary?
Yeah, before Reed started, we couldn't get anybody to take transfers. Going from 16 to 108 transfers, guys, has been where, that's why his salary, I mean, we weren't doing that before. And see, we asked him to come to us in the beginning. And people don't know that. It was Dale, Ernie, and I. So we have generated a lot more money incoming because of the acceptance of transfers. And that's huge, guys. So
We've simply changed the culture in the last 2 years.
when my wife was an EMT, they would schedule a transfer, but nobody else would respond. So then we'd send it to McCook, Goodman, I believe. And you're talking about extra time. And when you're talking life or death, time is everything.
Well,
So-
I'll tell you, what still bothers me is the IT. I went back all the way to 2011. Here's the audit report. And at that time, they were putting $400 a month into the computer category to pay for IT duties.
And that
which
was to Terry.
$4,800 a month, a year. And it's my understanding that when you accepted the job, you accepted the IT duties.
It was
And
IT.
based on that, to me, when we transferred those duties elsewhere, it becomes a question of where is the funding coming from?
Okay, when you hired me, those IT duties were already being done. And according to the person that was doing them, he was getting paid for those. In fact, he had an interest when they were hiring me because they thought he was going to lose his $400 a month. And he was told by the county clerk that no, he would not. That he would maintain his $400 a month to do IT, and I would simply be his help. Now, I believe that is all. I don't know if that happened in the commissioner meeting. I don't know anything more than that came out of his mouth.
And I looked at this from a legal perspective. There was no separate wage agreement, I think, that's ever been signed by anyone doing the IT position. So there is no separate pulling out the $400 that was signed by Reed. And I would recommend that we think about doing that in the future. If we're going to actually have an employee who's holding a separate position also fill the IT position, that we should probably have them sign a separate wage agreement to make that clear. I have gone, there's also no job description for the IT position, which I know this is something we've been discussing, or the emergency director position. And finally, I went through the minutes, and I think this is another example of I cannot find anything formal. Now, keep in mind, there's a difference between if conversations happen in executive session or there was some sort of informal conversation. But I think there was a lot of just sort of trying to figure out what was going on, but there was no formal legal agreement or agreement for services that are anywhere in the minutes that I can find. So legally, there's no paper trail there. I'm not saying there's nothing there policy-wise or there wasn't discussions, but as far as there being some sort of legal, you will perform these services in exchange for this amount of money, there is nothing I can find
And
that
I
documents
didn't
that.
find anything in my notes saying that, other than Reed saying that he would lend his assistance when he could. And that was never said, and it was never said from my standpoint that he, that was going to be his job description. He said that he would try to lend a hand when he could, so,
He's still willing to do that.
if needed.
I'm still willing to help somebody else if they need it.
Right.
To take on the primary role of IT, we're going to be back to the
Well,
October
that ain't what we're
conversation.
We already made a decision who the IT person.
You have to realize that I'm on call, so if they need my help, and again, if I'm on a transfer like we were last
What
time.
I was getting at was if it was worded that you would help, didn't say you'd run it, that you'd help.
Yeah, I would assist. I've got a skill
Well, then we're
that
back to square one.
Yep, I'm fine with that.
I've got a skill that I'm willing to help whoever wants help with.
Well, and I will say from a legal perspective, I think maybe the lesson learned here is more formality when it comes to these sorts of assignments. And I know we've been talking a lot about revisiting job descriptions and employee handbooks. And I think this is one of those areas where it's nice to have a conversation and be informal with your employees, but it ultimately protects the county and the employees if we have a little more formality when it comes to these sorts of issues.
Okay,
Reed, what's the annual
we did make a previous decision.
average cost of a transfer
That
that we
400
generate?
Cost
That we,
or revenue.
let's just say revenue.
Okay, on,
For the IT.
because usually when I figure revenue, and you'll understand, so you just use our Medicare.
Okay, that's a separate issue.
Yeah,
That's a
That's
separate
me.
issue.
Because we bill. average, we bill $3,400, we say. And then I take that times 0.59% to figure what I think Medicare is probably going to pay out.
So take that number times 92, because my calculations show we're up 92 transfers a year, at least for the years that you gave us. Give or take.
Times 108.
Yeah, 92. Yes, sorry, I haven't read it.
312,000.
But that's not what you got. You billed that amount. Right there is what you got.
And then times 0.6 is what I think we'll probably get back 187,000.
That's pretty good, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Now, the issue with the revenue, the county is on a cash basis of accounting. What I do with QuickBooks Enterprise is accrual-based accounting. So there is a substantial amount of revenue out for 2015 that hasn't came in. I called Medicare because I don't think we've gotten a payment since like October. And they said they were pulling our payments because we need to fill out a form
So then you want to fill in another form?
proving our tax ID number.
Affordable Care Act stuff, right?
Yeah, so that's one thing that's hard is cash versus accrual. Because that'll go for the county, that'll go on your 2016 books. So it usually takes me a year. So when I do my year-end report after inspections, I'll have the final numbers of 2014 to share. Now, I don't know if that means anything to you guys, but that means a lot to me to be making sure our expenses and our revenue happen within the same year. But
It's just, there's a huge increase, so.
my fear is, and I'll be real honest with you, when I look at year-end numbers as reported by the county, you're not going to show those yet.
No, and
Because
that's not
most of
what's-
it's going to come in
I
2016.
mean, that's what you're seeing right there, right?
Yeah, we're seeing 115,000
And I think status quo is
943
120.
as a credit.
And that's what the hospital uses.
And
too,
on the
for their type
transfers,
system.
we're seeing 13,814 as a credit for all of 2015.
Did you say transfers was that the last number you gave?
Transfers was the last number.
And so we were keeping track of those transfers for the grant, but then they decided not that we didn't need to be keeping track of transfers in the county system. So I think that was like 2 or 3 months. But it's numbers that haven't been proven yet, and they won't until next year.
My email.
Because I even asked Dolores, and the money that comes in this year stays in this year's budget. It doesn't get credited back to last year. Like our expenses can for a while anyway, can't they?
Anything with the 2015 invoice will go back to the 2015 budget, right? So there are still expenses coming in.
But the revenue, it doesn't look the same.
And is that
as
just
our
because of the
expenses.
nature of,
Reimbursement.
since
Well,
we're dealing
yeah,
with services?
and you're getting reimbursed what, 80% of what you bill?
I figure 60% for Medicare. 80% is probably closer on the private insurance or the commercial
Blue Cross
insurance
Blue
companies.
Shield.
And then auto's about 100%. Yeah, I use 82% on the commercials and 59% on the Medicare. And then usually auto insurance is 100% unless it's been exhausted
See, we're down to 53%
on Medicare. Yeah, and that's last year's. I won't know this year's until all that money comes in. So
Did you have all your questions answered?
yes, I do.
Rod,
No.
did you go yours? You just got a
Good
question?
report.
What?
I say a good report.
Okay, but you had all your questions answered?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank
To be clear, have you guys approved a 2016 salary for him?
No, we have not. We tabled that.
That's what I have. I mean, part of the reorganization, and the board needs to go, this is my working copy.
To go through the separate wage agreements.
Right, and
Okay.
obviously I know of some changes that need to be made just because of a misunderstanding of what the board intended. And so as we work through these, I can slip in and update them, but the board needs to sign off on the pay
Just wanna be
scale
able to-
Yeah.
as well as the employee agreements.
You done?
Tell me what you want so I can write it down and see if that's right.
For salary?
What I mean, did she have it right?
61,020 was last year's, what do you have?
Okay, that's what I wanted to.
Well, I didn't know what the board wanted to do, so.
I mean, to me, the only change would be cost of living if you guys are doing that.
The only thing would be that if I need to change this to 6%, I can slip in there and do it real quick, like, and update it and print it out. That's up to you guys. I don't know.
I don't know if that reflected or whether that was without the 400. You thought
No,
was-
that is,
Last year, he started out at 60,000, and last year the board gave a 1.7, so that's how he got to the 6120. So if you wish to add an additional 6%, I need to take this times 6% and add it back in.
Or the 3% cost.
Or 3%, whatever you guys.
that's at your discretion.
Yeah, that's,
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
So-
Reed.
but we've got all of these to work through.
Today?
Yes, because we need these,
Yeah, moving it.
we've got to have these for payroll, and we won't have another meeting. So, based on the special meeting is what I've been working on.
So emergency management tri-county agreement.
You're back to the reorganizational.
Did you have something, Cody?
I may have made a clerical error in this thing that I made you, and I wanted to double check something before it became concrete.
Okay.
You do have a clerical error on one of your employees, that pay scale you reworked. You have one employee that it will be making less in 16 than they made in 15.
That's the one I want to talk about.
Very good. That's one of the
Are you
corrections.
talking about this?
Yes.
I read this last night.
Okay.
Unless you have pay scale.
I hope I'm talking about the same employee and I didn't make a mistake twice.
I only caught one mistake.
Okay.
So I think
Yes, that's the one I'm discussing, because currently this year, she is making, class 3 for 2015 was the 34,818.18. And I had her down as class 3 again, making 32,911, so that, that's almost a $2,000 reduction in pay. I'll leave it up to you guys. I feel that she qualifies for the class 5 by the new classification, more than 4 years experience. She's worked there through 4 or 5 different shifts, and she is part-time affiliate certified. If you guys want to start the new pay scale office at classification 4, I'm fine with that. We recommend the classification 5. I'll leave that up to you gentlemen, but I did make a mistake recommending her for classification 3. She'll make less money than what she made this year. So I'm glad you caught that as well.
I didn't think that was go very
I
well.
wondered why you were
So
putting
how long?
pay scales in there that you
How many
figured.
years?
No,
I think close to 20.
Well, I don't think that's inappropriate to, where we broke things into fifths to have the department head suggest how those classification goes. Imagine that was fun, going through those.
It was,
I don't have a problem
it
with
was
class
a
5.
challenge. And some departments work real well,
We need a motion to
Going.
change her to a
and
class.
some of them didn't get back with me, so I
We
don't
need a
know
motion
what
to
the
change that
board's
to a class 5.
wishes are.
You want to put her to a 4, is that correct?
I am comfortable with 4 or 5. I'm recommending 5 because she has worked here for almost 20 years. But I understand if you guys want to go to a 4, then that gives us room to move her up to 5 next year. That's, I guess, I gave you my suggestion. I'm waiting for your decision on that.
Well, you're going to have to cover that out of your budget, aren't you?
I cover a lot out of my budget. I'm more worried about the dispatch budget than I am mine.
I'd say kick her to a 5, she's been here 20 years.
I don't have the exact date, but I know it's going to be pretty close because it'd be
Okay, you come.
Eddie,
Yes, I agree.
Ben, Troy, and Greg.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 sheriffs. So
She's been here about 15, because she and I
15,
started
okay,
about the same
15.
time.
Okay, I just was counting, 5 times 4 is 20. I guess Troy wasn't a full term and stuff, so that probably confused me. So,
You also asking that too?
yes.
And I believe those other recommendations, Cody, I believe I typed them up that way.
Okay. Yeah, I'm asking, do you want me to read it out loud?
Yeah.
Okay.
Might as well cover
Frank
it one
Serrano
time.
is part-time, level 1. I'm asking to move him up to level 2 part-time. Mike Blim is, I'm asking to move him up to level 3 undersheriff, which would have been the old level 2 undersheriff. And then I'd like to reserve the ability to move Deputy Amber to level 2 deputy upon the completion and her graduation of the Kelly TC basic training this spring.
Okay.
Because we always tell them once you graduate, you'll get moved up, and then somehow it doesn't happen for a long time. It kind of makes us look like we break promises. So I'd like to be able to, I know that's not typical of the county thing, but I'd like to come in here when she graduates and gets their certificate in hand, to come in and ask for her to be moved up a level. I know, like I said, it's uncommon to do it in the middle of the year, but I think the completion of the certificate deserves that.
Okay, first motion would be to move Carol
Gamblin?
classification 5, 36,907.27.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay. Now we have Frank Serrano, which is part-time, and you want to move him to a level 2, correct?
Level 2, yes.
Okay, I don't have the scale here, but I'll make the motion that we move Frank to a level 2 part-time.
I'll say.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay.
Mike Glenn, level 3, undersheriff. I make a motion that we move him to that level.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay.
And when the young lady graduates, you come to us.
We'll do so.
Okay.
That's all I have for you, gentlemen.
All right, thanks, Cody.
Mhm.
Okay, so this one will be changed.
Did you find the emergency management?
Yes. So, signatures.
This is the same as last year.
Yes. Nicole I had sent those to her to review, and she noticed that we needed to add Sherman County.
Yeah, we had actually left them out of.
That
Okay.
one was left out.
And you're okay with
So-
that?
Yes.
All right, you guys okay with signing this up?
Yes.
That's a tri-county agreement. These agreements are, that we do every year.
Okay. And first city.
This is,
Let me get a chance to look. Okay, you're okay with that?
Yes.
You guys okay to sign on that then? This is the
What is
Bird.
it? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Rodney, are you okay with that? Bird City Mutual?
Yes.
Better we just give Frank more money.
And then airport.
I guess that's the only one you need, ain't it?
Just just need one signature on that.
According to that.
Okay, sorry.
And I will get these off to Rollins County and Sherman County for their signatures.
And is this the same as last year's?
Yes, they're all the same, the dates are changed on them.
I had made a few minor just tweaks, but they're all
Corrected on here.
substantially the
Yes.
same.
Yes.
Okay. Nothing, the tweaks are all,
Very minor.
Statutorily, she said they were all fine, they were just little
okay. You guys will be able
wording
to sign that?
changes. Let's see. Report
Okay. Then in the sheriff's.
is that one.
And this looks like the same as last year.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the addendum?
Yeah.
Yes.
And you're fine with that? You guys signed, fine with signing that?
You reviewed that?
I did.
Okay.
You guys are fine?
Yeah.
And this gap waiver, that should be 1601, not 1501. That also needs to be done in your reorganization every year.
Look at this as well.
I don't think I've looked at that
No.
one.
I thought I attached it, everything that was in the reorganization meeting, I thought I attached it.
Oh, no, yep,
It
this
looked
is fine.
okay.
Check that.
I, oh, it was on Carol's, sorry, on, that's not that one. He had another sheet in there for office manager.
Make sure I correct on that.
The level was okay. Carol was at this level, and this pay is less than what she's currently making.
Okay.
And so he just wanted to bump her up because this is the training, which she has, and she has the experience and everything.
So
So,
that's enough.
yes, he brought these figures in that he had reworked, and I dropped them in on his here. So,
Okay, everybody okay with signing the 1601 waiver? We're already signing it. We're all right with it. All right,
yeah, waiver was approved.
election of a chairman.
Did we take care of the mitigation plan? yet?
No,
Okay.
we haven't, and you know what, I don't know if, I need
She
to
didn't
check
have
my
the
email
original
to see if Ryan sent that to me. I thought he did. Well, you guys discussed, let me check that.
I would be chairman again if you guys want me to. I don't really care.
I'm making chairman again.
What's that?
Chairman, I said I'm going to get these chairman again. When he's,
I would like to be chair this year. It's normal in the state that commissioners rotate.
well, we think that's a problem. I know
Would you want to be chair this year?
I wouldn't mind it, but my health, I don't think is going to allow it at this point in time. I'd rather wait another year and get a little better. At least where I can speak so the public can understand. We're doing great now. We don't want to give you too many duties because that budget, that's all you got.
I think we need to decide first whether we desire to rotate and then make a vote.
Okay. I've thought long and hard about it, and I don't mind staying here. And, but, you know, if somebody else would want it, I mean, that's also fine. But I'll probably vote to stay for me, just because I actually was scared to death to be chairman in the beginning. And now I've kind of got a groove for it. So it doesn't matter, you guys
I
deem
think
it as
we're working fine the way we are. And of course, I might be a lot more comfortable when you get reelected.
Well, we had in the past, the commissioners really didn't want the chair, and Mr. Patton ended up being the chair for many years.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think it's a learning experience for each commissioner to hold the chair. I do know that the other counties near us, Rollins County and Sherman County, will. So,
And legally, all that's required is that you guys elect the chairman
that's
at this
correct.
meeting.
Yeah,
So,
I'm aware of that.
I've got a motion on the floor now
What was the motion?
to retain the chairmanship. But we're waiting for a second.
I don't know that I can second it.
anyone can second it.
I guess I'll second it. I was actually, I'll do it again, yes. It's a lot of stress.
So are you gonna call that to a vote then?
Yeah, all those in favor of me being chairman 2016, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Opposed.
All right.
This brings an interesting question. Have you guys adopted Robert's rules? Is that what has there been an actual adoption?
We're supposed to use
Okay.
an abbreviated form
Okay.
approved by the state of Robert's Rules.
One thing I will say because something to
There's
discuss,
Robert's Rules.
on a 3-person commission like this, I mean, you could operate without requiring a second, technically, with just 3 people. If that's the procedure you guys want to adopt, so that way anytime a motion is made, then you just move to a vote. Since there's just 3 people, I mean, that would be a proper way to proceed if you chose to use that procedure.
I'd like to know a lot more about Robert's rules. Because
I think we're required to have seconds, and it's up to the chair whether you use the name of the individual making it.
I will check on that, but I think technically, if you have 3 people, you're not required to, I mean, if you want me
Why
to
don't
look
you
into
check?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, we have wage agreements to go through, and that's the last thing.
Here's that mitigation.
Oh,
That would be resolution 1602 if you choose to adopt the mitigation.
and I have
plan.
reviewed that, no legal concerns, no concerns about the wording.
okay. I don't have a problem with it then. You guys figured. Do we want to set a date to review the whole employee handbook? Because we should get that started, and maybe not do it all at one time, but maybe devote an hour here or there for it. Tuesday and Thursday afternoons, I'm free. If we wanted to start that, I think we need to get it going.
Have you had a chance to look at our employee handbook?
There isn't much to look at, so yes.
I think
That's an
that
understatement.
book is so antiquated that we need to contract out to have that
I
done.
think we have a few options. We can either contract out. I know K-Camp
I
has
think we got a couple.
a version that we could adapt. We could also, request local counties, some of, surrounding counties, what they have. So, I mean, that's kind of up to you guys, but I'm not sure how much that would run.
Well, do we want to set a date and come in
And discuss it more?
Yes. When would work for you, gentlemen? Want to look at it this month?
I think many of the issues that we have,
Okay.
that as we work through as county employees, a lot of
Okay.
it surrounds the county handbook and not having any clear direction.
Mm-hmm.
Can we what about next Thursday? I don't think my son starts wrestling yet.
The
14th
21st.
or 21st.
I'm looking at the 21st. And I guess if he has a wrestling duel, if it's here, I'm not gonna have any issue, but if it's, I'll let you guys know. And how about 1 o'clock, would that work? Or 12?
Fine with me.
Or 12?
Whatever
I'm
you-
free
Well,
whenever, so.
What's that?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock's what you want? Okay.